Gotcha.
or something like that.
Yeah. Well, we get into the problem of pi, infinitely repeating whatevers, and anything less than the full series is short of reality. But we can't see the whole series, and it never ends. It literally goes to infinity, at least as far as we can tell. Maybe pi goes out 6 million places, and it eventually ends. We don't know that, but it looks like it doesn't. As far as I can tell, maybe I'm way behind, and they've already shown, oh yeah, pi has an end. It's 833 quadrillion.
Yeah, they're still looking for it, I think. So
yeah, that is, that makes me think of Douglas Adams and the computer, what's the meaning of life? What's the answer to the question, to the great question, 42. Well, if it was pi, like the computer would still be rattling. The computers would still be calculating. It wouldn't even be rattling off the number yet. Yeah, that's a problem with AI too. What happens when we get to those ideas of giving a computer an impossible choice and telling it you're not allowed to choose either one, and you must make a choice because something is going to happen anyway. We get like that trolley problem. The trolley's coming. Yeah. You are in a situation where you can do nothing or you can do something, and either one of the two is going to happen, and neither one is acceptable. What do you do? How do you solve that?
I think that's why everybody's worried about the programming now, the ethics behind it all.
Yeah, and, no, that's a big deal. That's behind my advocacy. We should not do this because the only way not to screw it up is not to make the attempt. I mean, we are flawed beings playing God, trying to give birth to a new type of conscious entity. We can't do that. We can't do that successfully, properly. We are not gods. We shouldn't try to be.
They're trying to slow it down. Apparently, it sounded they signed like something recently where they're telling people to slow down. Elon Musk and I think one of the founders of Apple and a couple other people are signing on to this.
Good idea. Yeah. And it isn't that maybe we couldn't get closer to that someday. I look at again, yin yang style. I think progress and tradition are equally important. I have one foot solidly on either side of that left-right divide. I'm a true radical centrist, or whatever they say. I want the balance. I want the harmony. I think we need constructive progress and stable order. We need both. I think the human body is a perfect representation of that. We have a rigid skeleton without which we cannot be flexible. We cannot move and function in the world. And again, without being able to move and function, doesn't matter how rigid our skeleton is. If it was too rigid, we could not move and go hunt food and keep ourselves alive. So that's this balance. It's that golden mean, I think.
Perfect harmony.
Yeah, and it has to be both. It has to be both. And that's where you get the extremists on both sides saying, no, absolute rigid order. No, that's a bad idea. No, everything must be no boundaries, complete chaos. No, also bad idea. And then you get into those interesting analyses of, I think, honestly, everyone, and I think this is a truism, and it's for obvious reasons, but the idea that everyone is conservative about what they know, about what they're familiar with. They don't want to change their formulas. Even if their formula was originally radical, once they've accomplished that, now you try to conserve it and you become conservative of, like people are like liberalism or classical liberalism or the idea of being liberal has become a conservative position. It was like, yeah, we'd like to keep that and not maybe go into communism or socialism so much. We don't want that kind of radical change because it's just not, for whatever reason. I think most people are on that page, like, not all change is good or for the better. So.
Yeah, I think it has to do with like the openness trait.
I think some of it does.
If you're more open to like the new, like you might not think that it's going to end up. I think that's probably where that phrase comes from. Well, it's world communism hasn't been tried because you're open to the idea that it can be successful, but maybe everybody has like their own concept of what it is or what it truly is, like what it truly means. But that's why it always, that's why any of those rigid ideas, like you were saying, end up becoming like problem because you're just, it's just one rigid idea. I think actually like the mixture of ideas is like the key.
I think so too.
Because it allows more people to do what they like, and do what they're comfortable with, and you have less conflict.
Yeah. I think a lot of it is a problem of scale. in some ways, because I conceive of the nuclear family as a communist dictatorship. It is a dictatorship of the proletariat, the father or mother, the working class makes the rules
Right. Yeah.
from each according to their ability to each according to their needs. I mean, it works. I mean, that's basically a good description of it. And they try to share equally and support each other and all the great things. I think you can expand that a bit to it's like you can expand it at to a lesser intensity to extended family, and then to a lesser degree to your community. And each expansion of the bubble, you kind of lose a little bit of the ability to apply that fully. And so you can get up to the scale of a commune of 50, 100 people, and we all kind of work together. We all know each other by name. We all know our personalities and our struggles. And you get beyond those kind of small group settings, and it's just impossible to administer it top down in any way that doesn't just
Yeah.
doesn't oppress people and treat people unfairly. So I just think it's a matter of scale in that regard. Not that it isn't a great idea. Implementing it
It really is.
worldwide
It
is,
really is a matter of scale at the end of the day.
yeah. And I would
I
say
think that's why like the federal system, the federalist kind of systems tend to work better too,
yeah,
because it's like, you can have like maybe one little group, you can have like a city or a town
yeah.
that operates like that, maybe in its extended family and family friends and extended family friends, like it branches out from there, like and then you have like another small town next to it that has like a different set of values, but they let them, they come together to decide on certain local issues or and do stuff like that, but they don't have to directly follow all of the same rules just because they live next to each other.
Oh yeah, that's why I like those. What the states were supposed to be, they'd say 50 individual laboratories of democracy. Try it out, see what happens, and then we can learn from each other. It's okay that Tennessee does it different than Idaho, or Oregon does it different than Florida, and then we get to decide where we want to live. I mean, I'm stuck in Oregon for now, which is a little too much both feet too far to the left, not enough straddling the line, in my opinion. So maybe I need to move, and fair enough. I need to live where they've got the balance right, or the balance is a little bit more the other way, because that's my comfort zone. We'll see. And that's okay. If the people here want to live like that, that's fine. I should leave. That's just, you were talking about openness. That made me think of it too. And it's definitely the synergy of how all those, because I consider myself highly open, but also highly conscientious and highly disagreeable. So I don't have a problem telling someone, I think you're wrong. And I don't mean anything by it. And I don't feel offended to have someone tell me that. And I go, okay, fair enough. We believe
Yeah.
different things. I think you're wrong too. Congratulations. Right.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's where I'm at. Some people have a harder time with that in terms of,
No, that's pretty much how I think that's almost exactly how my kind of my test came out with the Big Five.
yeah. Very cool. Yeah. And I think that also, if you were able to kind of match yourself with, say, friends that were similar, not identical, and you want some difference. And sometimes there's no accounting for taste and personality. Man, this person my complete opposite, and I just think they're awesome. And we click for some reason. Who knows? But so I think that's kind of where the broadly libertarian side of things comes from. Is like, I am open to just about anything. I don't care what people do as long as you're not hurting someone else. I draw the line there. Conscientious is you take care of your business. You don't make it my problem. And that's the mutual reciprocity, where it's like, I don't have the authority to tell you what to do, and you don't have the authority to make me responsible for what you do. So I don't have to care. I don't have to exert my influence on you to stop you from doing things I don't like, because I'm going to have to pay for it eventually down the road. I want to separate those two things. With complete freedom means complete responsibility. You can't have one without the other, and the degree to which each shrinks is proportional to each other. But then there's also that disagreeableness, which is like, how likely are you to go along with the herd? And there's
one thing too.
Go ahead.
I think there's one interesting thing that actually goes into that, which is there's one thing that kind of pegs it, that kind of messes everything up when something that you do can affect everybody else. Something like
That's true.
something like the environment or something.
Yeah.
I feel like that's where things like that get really complicated with people, because you can only let people do so much to where it does start to affect you, or even like your family and everybody where you live. Like the East Palestine thing, I think, is like one of those examples where
That's pretty
You
big.
realize like
Yep.
how much just even like the smallest thing can affect like an entire community, and then like
Yeah,
back in the day that could have caused like an entire like war or something between tribes.
very much
If you
so.
think about it like that, you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, definitely there, and there's an issue of scale as well with a lot of that too. Is like there's freedom can't mean the freedom to hurt other people. That has to be the limit. So you do something like that, that you have to be responsible for it. So this, this is actually where the concept, and it makes sense. And I don't dispute that a lot of these things were, let's say, the instantiation of government regulatory agencies was meant to solve it. Identified a real problem and tried to solve it, but well, we'll just make regulations. My issue with that is, and that's not bad. There's a lot of regulations that are good. Yeah, you can't put poison in your food and sell it as healthy. Wonderful. That's great. That's
Right.
exactly
Yeah.
that's exactly the right idea. I want the same thing done a different way. That we can argue, is that possible? What would that look like? The unfortunate part, so we get the East Palestine thing. We get regulatory capture and immunity granted, a legal immunity. So
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
the railroad company can say, we were following all the rules. This is government's fault. Government can say, we can't be wrong. You can't sue us. And they did everything we told them to. So guess you're just SOL. And then we get, if FEMA's not going to come and help and we can't sue the railroad, well, we're just screwed. Or now our homes are worthless and people are dying and there's no recourse. I'd like to see something else happening. I would almost
Right.
rather the EPA were abolished and the people of East Palestine could just go to the executive offices of the railroad and have a little chat with some tar and feathers and make this right. and say, you're gonna take responsibility, or we're gonna hold you accountable our own way. I think that's a better solution in my estimation. And some people say that's pretty violent. I say, yep. That's how
That's
it is.
pretty old school.
That's
That's how I like it.
I'm just saying, you fuck around and find out. And I don't want anyone to get hurt, but hey, maybe don't hurt people. You got to be responsible one way or another. You got to pay for this. You got to,
Right.
and if it,
I mean, and that's the reason that's what they would do back in the old school, back in the days, because
yeah,
it's not like they wanted to hurt anybody, but like
yeah,
you owe us something. Right.
yeah. How are you
Like
going to
there was,
make, how are
one
you going to
guy,
make this right? Come to town. Let's have a public meeting. Let's find out what's going on. Maybe you got to go bankrupt, buying us out of our home so we can move, because you poisoned the earth and we can't live here anymore.